Dr. Hansol stared at her computer screen in the dim light of her office at the Korean Deep Sea Research Institute. The clock showed 2 a.m., but she couldn't sleep. Not after what she had seen in the data from the deep sea cameras. This can't be right, she said to herself, rubbing her tired eyes. The patterns of light she observed at 8,000 meters below sea level didn't match any known sea creature's behavior. They were too regular, too precise. The next morning, she walked into the main lab, carrying a large cup of coffee. Her colleague, Dr. Kita, was already there, looking through microscope samples. "Kita, I need you to look at something," Hansol said, placing her coffee on the desk. She pulled up the video footage from last night. Watch the lights. In the dark waters of the Pacific Ocean, blue lights danced in perfect geometric patterns. They moved like stars in a planned dance, forming circles, squares, and triangles. Keita laughed. "Your equipment must be broken. Nothing at that depth can make patterns like that." "The equipment is fine. I checked it 3 times, Hansol said. She opened another file on her computer. "Look at this. These patterns match the theoretical models for alien communication systems that NASA published last year." Keita's smile disappeared. He pulled his chair closer to the screen. "Show me more." Over the next few hours, they watched more videos. The patterns appeared every day at the same time, lasting exactly 12 minutes. They never changed their timing, but the shapes they made were always different. "We need better cameras down there," Keita said finally. "And more sensors." Hansol nodded. "I already sent a request to Director Park. We can have new equipment in the water by tomorrow." The next day, they installed high-definition cameras and advanced sensors in the deep-sea research area. The waiting was hard. Hansol kept checking the live feed every few minutes, even though the patterns only appeared at night. When night came, they weren't disappointed. The lights appeared again, but this time, they could see them clearly. The beings creating the lights were small, about the size of dolphins. Their bodies glowed with a soft blue light, and they moved with grace through the dark water. "They're not random sea creatures," Hansol whispered. "Look how they coordinate their movements. They're communicating." The sensor data confirmed her suspicions. The light patterns contained regular pulses, like a language written in light. The beings were also using parts of the light spectrum that most sea creatures couldn't see or create. Keita, who had been skeptical at first, now couldn't look away from the screen. "We need to record everything. Every pattern, every movement. This could be the biggest discovery in human history." Hansol was already typing on her computer, documenting everything they saw. "We need to be careful who we tell about this. If the wrong people find out, they might scare these beings away." As they watched, one of the glowing creatures swam close to their camera. It stopped and seemed to look directly into the lens. Then, it created a pattern of lights that Hansol and Keita had never seen before. It was simpler than the others, like it was meant to be easy to understand. "Hansol," Keita said slowly, "I think it's trying to say hello." The pattern repeated 3 times before the creature swam away, joining its group. Hansol and Keita looked at each other, knowing their lives had just changed forever. In the deep waters of the Pacific Ocean, they had found something impossible, signs of intelligent life that had been living on Earth all along. They stayed in the lab all night, watching and recording. The next step would be figuring out how to communicate back. But for now, they were content just to watch and wonder about their new discovery, knowing they were seeing something no human had ever seen before. 3 days after their discovery, Hansol and Keita sat in a meeting room with Jaewon, the Institute's best cryptographer. They showed her all their recordings of the light patterns. "These are not random," Jaewon said, studying the footage. "There's a clear structure here. See how some patterns repeat? That's like grammar in a language." Hansol pushed a cup of tea towards Jaewon. "Can you help us understand what they're saying?" "Yes, but we need to answer them first." Jaewon opened her laptop. We should start with simple patterns, like they did with us. They spent the next week building a special light system that could work in the deep ocean. It wasn't easy. The lights had to be strong enough to be seen at great depths, but gentle enough not to harm any sea life. When they finally lowered their light system into the ocean, they all watched nervously from the control room. J1 had programmed it to repeat the same hello pattern they had seen before. For 2 hours, nothing happened. Then suddenly, the beings appeared. They swam around the light system, studying it. One of them moved forward and made the hello pattern back. It worked, Kita said, his eyes wide with excitement. Jai-1 was already typing on her computer. Let's try the next pattern. Something simple, maybe numbers. They sent a pattern of lights. 1 flash, pause, 2 flashes, pause, 3 flashes. The beings watched. Then one of them responded with 4 flashes, then 5. They understand, Hansol said. They're counting with us. Over the next few days, they created more complex patterns. The beings learned quickly. Soon, they were exchanging patterns that Jai-1 said might represent basic ideas like up, down, water, and light. One morning, something different happened. Instead of responding to their patterns, the beings created a new kind of display. It showed moving images made of light, pictures of Earth's oceans, from the surface down to the deepest parts. They're telling us their story, Jai-1 said softly. They're showing us where they live. The images continued, showing structures deep in the ocean that looked like cities made of crystal and living coral. The beings called themselves the Luminous, using patterns of light to spell out their name. Hansol watched in amazement as the Luminous revealed more about themselves. They weren't just intelligent. They had a whole civilization hidden in the deep ocean. They had art, homes, and ways of recording their history through light patterns preserved in special kinds of coral. Why are they showing us all this now? Kita asked. His question was answered when the Luminous created their next image. It showed humans in submarines and ships, going deeper and deeper into the ocean over time. The message was clear. They knew humans would find them eventually, so they decided to make contact first. Jai-1 worked day and night to improve their communication. She created a computer program that could translate their patterns more quickly. The Luminous learned to understand it, and soon they could have simple conversations. We have lived here for many ages, the Luminous told them through light patterns. We watch, we learn. Now it is time to talk. As Hansol recorded their latest conversation in her log, she realized how much had changed in just a few weeks. They had discovered not just new life, but new friends. The ocean, which humans had thought they knew so well, had been hiding one of the greatest secrets in history. What do we do next? Kita asked as they watched the Luminous create beautiful patterns in the dark water. We learn from them, Hansol said, and we make sure the rest of the world is ready to meet them. The research team grew larger as news of the discovery spread within the institute. Young Mai, an experienced oceanographer, joined them to study how the Luminous lived in the deep ocean. Her first meeting with the beings left her speechless. The Luminous had created a grand display of light for her. It showed their daily lives, their homes, and their way of teaching young ones. Young Mai recorded everything with special cameras that could capture the faintest lights in the deep water. Their whole society is built around light, Young Mai explained to the others. They don't just use it to talk. They use it to tell stories, to make art, and to keep records. Through their improved communication system, the Luminous shared more about themselves. They showed how they created beautiful light paintings that lasted for hours in the dark water. These paintings told stories of their past and their dreams for the future. Why didn't you contact us before? Hansol asked them one day. The answer came in careful patterns of light. The Luminous explained that they had watched humans for a long time. They saw how humans often fought each other. They saw how humans damaged the oceans. They decided it was safer to stay hidden. We waited, the Luminous said through their lights. We waited for humans to become ready. to become wise enough to understand. Keita spent many hours watching how the Luminous used special kinds of coral to store information. The coral absorbed their light patterns and could play them back later, like a natural computer. It was more advanced than any storage system humans had made. Their technology isn't like ours, Keita told the team. They don't build machines. They work with nature. They make it better without destroying it. Young Me discovered that the Luminous could change the temperature of the water around them. This helped them protect the coral reefs from getting too warm. They had been secretly helping Earth's oceans stay healthy for thousands of years. One day, a young Luminous came close to their observation window. It created a pattern that showed Earth as seen from far away in space. Then it showed other worlds, other oceans on distant planets. Are they trying to tell us something about space? Jai-1 asked, watching the patterns carefully. The answer came in a series of complex light displays. The Luminous shared how they had visited Earth long ago, finding it to be a perfect new home. They chose the deep oceans because it was most like their original world. The team worked late that night, trying to understand everything they had learned. The Luminous weren't just intelligent life from Earth's oceans. They were travelers from another world. They had chosen to become guardians of Earth's seas, protecting life in the deep without anyone knowing. This changes everything we know about life in the universe, Hansol said, looking at their notes. And about our own oceans. Young-Me nodded. They'd been here all along, helping our planet survive. Now they're finally ready to teach us how to help too. As they watched the Luminous create another beautiful light display, the team realized they weren't just making a scientific discovery. They were building a bridge between two worlds. The deep sea had kept this secret for so long, and now it was time for both civilizations to learn from each other. The morning started like any other at the Korean Deep Sea Research Institute. Hansol was reviewing the night's communications with the Luminous when Keita burst into her office. "We have a problem," he said, his face pale. "Another ship has entered our research zone. It's the Ocean Pioneer, owned by Blue Star Research Company." Hansol checked the radar screen. The private research vessel was moving directly toward their communication site. She knew about Blue Star's reputation. They were known for taking risks to get results, and their leader, Do-hyun, had a history of ignoring research protocols. "Have they contacted us?" Hansol asked, reaching for her phone. "No, they're pretending they don't see our signals." The team gathered in the control room. Through their cameras, they could see the Ocean Pioneer lowering equipment into the water. Do-hyun had somehow learned about their discovery, and he wanted to capture a luminous being for his own research. "We need to warn them," Jai-1 said, quickly typing commands into their communication system. The warning lights flashed deep in the ocean, telling the Luminous about the danger. But it was too late. The Ocean Pioneer had already launched 3 capture pods into the water. These pods were designed to trap and hold marine life for study. The Luminous had never seen such devices before. Through their cameras, the team watched in horror as the pods descended. The Luminous were gathering for their daily communication session, unaware of the threat above them. "Send another warning," Hansol ordered, but the new ship was creating interference, making their signals harder to see. The first pod nearly caught a young luminous being. At the last second, an older one pushed it away, getting trapped instead. The pod's lights went dark as it started to rise toward the surface. The reaction was immediate. The ocean itself seemed to come alive. The Luminous created light patterns more intense than any the team had seen before. The water around the capture pod began to swirl, creating powerful currents. "The temperature readings are going crazy," Young-Mi reported, watching her instruments. "They're changing the water temperature so fast, it's creating underwater storms." The currents grew stronger. The Ocean Pioneer's equipment started to fail. Their capture pods were thrown off course, and their ship began to rock dangerously in the disturbed waters. Hansol grabbed the radio. "Ocean Pioneer, this is the Korean Deep Sea Research Institute. You are interfering with a delicate first contact situation. Stop your capture attempt immediately, or we will report this to international authorities." Do Hyun's voice crackled over the radio. "You can't keep this discovery to yourselves. The world needs to know what's down there." "The world will know," Han Sol answered firmly. "But not like this. Not by destroying the trust we've built." The captured luminous being had started to create patterns inside the pod. The patterns were so bright, they shone through the pod's walls. Suddenly, the pod systems failed completely. It opened, releasing the beam back into the deep water. The Ocean Pioneer, its equipment damaged by the underwater disturbance, finally began to retreat. But the damage was done. The luminous patterns showed their distress and anger. Years of careful communication could have been destroyed in a single morning. "Will they still trust us?" Ki-tae asked quietly. Han Sol watched the luminous gather in the deep water. Their light patterns were different now, more guarded. She knew they had to fix this, or humanity might lose its chance to learn from these remarkable beings forever. After the incident with the Ocean Pioneer, the luminous became more open about their past. They led Han Sol's team to a deep underwater cave system that no human had ever seen before. The walls of these caves held special minerals that could store light patterns for thousands of years. Young Mai examined the cave walls with their advanced sensors. "These patterns are ancient," she said, her voice filled with wonder. "Some of them might be older than human civilization." The luminous created new patterns that merged with the old ones on the walls. Together, they told a story that made the research team sit in stunned silence. The story began with a distant star system, where the luminous had evolved on a water world, much like Earth's oceans. Their civilization had grown and prospered there for millions of years. But then their star began to die, growing hotter and more unstable. They knew their world was ending, Jai-Won said, translating the complex light patterns. They had to find a new home. The patterns showed how the luminous had searched through space, looking for another world with deep oceans where they could survive. They found Earth, with its vast seas and abundant life. Rather than try to change Earth to suit them, they adapted themselves to fit into Earth's existing ecosystems. Han Sol watched as the patterns revealed more details. "They didn't just move here," she said. "They became guardians of Earth's oceans. They've been protecting marine life all this time." Kaita studied the mineral formations carefully. "Look at how the patterns change over time," he said. "They show major events in Earth's history, times when the oceans were in danger. The luminous helped prevent disasters we never even knew about." The team learned that the luminous had special abilities that helped them protect ocean life. They could control water temperature in small areas, guide fish away from danger, and even help coral reefs survive in changing conditions. They had been using these abilities for thousands of years, working quietly to keep Earth's oceans healthy. "Why didn't you tell us this before?" Han Sol asked through their communication system. The answer came in gentle pulses of light. The luminous explained that they needed to know if humans were ready for the truth. The incident with the Ocean Pioneer had shown them that while some humans could be trusted, others might try to misuse their knowledge. "We are not just visitors," the luminous explained through their patterns. "We are guardians. This is our home now too. We must protect it together." Young Mai recorded everything in their database. "This changes our whole understanding of life in the universe," she said, "and our responsibility to Earth's oceans." The team spent hours in the cave, learning more about the luminous journey through space and their long history on Earth. The patterns showed how they had watched human civilization grow, always hoping that one day they could share their knowledge. As they prepared to leave the cave, one of the luminous created a new pattern on the wall. Unlike the ancient records, this one was about the future. It showed humans and luminous working together to protect Earth's oceans. "They're not just showing us their past," Han Sol realized. "They're showing us what we could achieve together." The revelation of the luminous true origins was more than just a scientific discovery. It was a reminder that Earth's oceans had always held secrets beyond human imagination, and that sometimes the best guardians were the ones who worked in silence, deep beneath the waves. The news of the luminous could not stay secret forever. When the time came to tell the world, the Korean Deep Sea Research Institute chose Tae-hyun, their best international relations expert, to help manage the announcement. Tae-hyun organized a special meeting at the United Nations. Representatives from every country gathered to learn about the beings who had been living in Earth's oceans all along. Han Sol and her team presented their research, showing videos of the luminous and their remarkable abilities. The luminous have shared critical information about our oceans, Tae-hyun explained to the assembly. They understand things about Earth's climate that we are only beginning to learn. Through carefully planned demonstrations, the luminous showed how they had been protecting coral reefs from warming waters. They revealed methods for cleaning polluted waters and restoring damaged marine ecosystems. Their knowledge had developed over thousands of years of working with ocean life. In one remarkable presentation, they created light patterns that showed how Earth's oceans would change in the next 50 years if humans didn't act to protect them. The patterns were clear and frightening. Many coral reefs would die. Fish populations would drop dramatically. Coastal cities would face greater dangers from rising seas. But then they showed another possibility. If humans worked with the luminous, using their knowledge and technology, the oceans could become healthy again. They could even help stop some of the worst effects of climate change. The luminous aren't just sharing information, Han Sol told the assembly. They're offering us a chance to save our planet's oceans before it's too late. Scientists from around the world came to learn from the luminous. Young Mi helped organize teams to study their methods for controlling water temperature. Kita worked with marine biologists to understand how the luminous communicated with other sea life. The luminous proved to be patient teachers. They showed humans how to use natural materials to clean water and protect sea life. They taught ways to farm fish without damaging ocean ecosystems. Their methods were simple but powerful, working with nature instead of against it. Tae-hyun spent long hours in meetings with world leaders, helping them understand why the luminous knowledge was so important. This is not just about scientific discovery, he would explain. This is about the future of our planet. Some people were scared of the luminous at first, but as they saw how the beings helped protect coastal areas from storms and saved endangered marine species, they began to accept them. Children especially loved learning about the light patterns and the stories they told. The biggest change came when the luminous helped set up an early warning system for ocean disasters. Their ability to sense changes in water temperature and current helped coastal communities prepare for storms and tsunamis. Lives were saved because of their warnings. We are seeing what can happen when two civilizations work together, Han Sol said during a global conference. The luminous have shown us that the best way to advance is not through competition, but through cooperation. As the months passed, more research centers were built along coastlines around the world. Each one worked with the luminous to study and protect the oceans. The seas began to show signs of recovery, proving that it wasn't too late to make things right. 3 months after sharing their knowledge with the world, the luminous made an unprecedented offer. They would share their advanced technology with humans. But first, humanity needed to prove they could be trusted with such power. Han Sol sat in a meeting room at the United Nations headquarters, surrounded by world leaders. The luminous had created a special chamber filled with seawater so they could communicate directly with the assembly. Their light patterns filled the room with shifting colors. The luminous are offering us something remarkable, Han Sol explained to the gathered leaders. They want to show us how to use light and water in ways we never imagined possible. Their technology could solve many of our environmental problems. Through their light patterns, the luminous showed examples of what they could share. They had ways to clean polluted water in days instead of years. They knew how to create sustainable energy from ocean currents. They even had methods to protect coastal cities from rising seas. But their condition was clear. Before sharing these technologies, they wanted to see real commitment to ocean protection from all nations. They needed proof that humans would use their knowledge wisely. "We must create new laws to protect the oceans," Tahyun said, addressing the assembly. "Every nation must agree to stop ocean pollution and overfishing. We need to create protected areas where sea life can recover." Not everyone liked these conditions. Some military leaders worried about national security. Business leaders complained about the cost of environmental protection. They wanted the luminous technology without making changes to their ways. Keita stood up to address these concerns. "The luminous have watched us for centuries," he said. "They've seen how we often choose short-term gain over long-term survival. They want to make sure we've learned from our mistakes." The debate continued for days. Han Sol and her team worked tirelessly to show why the luminous offer was so important. Young Me presented data showing how their methods had already improved ocean health in test areas. "This is not just about getting new technology," Han Sol told the assembly. "This is about proving we can be responsible guardians of Earth's oceans. The luminous are testing us, but they're also teaching us." Finally, after many discussions, most nations agreed to the luminous terms. They would create new laws to protect the oceans. They would stop harmful fishing practices. They would clean up ocean pollution. These changes would be difficult, but they were necessary. The luminous watched all of this through their communication systems. Their light patterns showed approval as each nation signed the new ocean protection agreements. They had waited centuries for humans to reach this point. "We have made our choice," Han Sol said to the luminous through their communication system. "We choose to protect our oceans. We choose to learn from you." The luminous responded with a beautiful display of lights. The pattern showed Earth's oceans becoming healthy again, with humans and luminous working together as guardians of the sea. It was a future worth fighting for, a future they could only reach together. 5 years after humanity made its choice to protect the oceans, the world had changed in remarkable ways. The first deep-sea research station, built with help from the luminous, stood proudly at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean. Sangmin, who had learned from young Me, was now its chief researcher. Sangmin looked through the station's large windows at the ocean outside. Schools of fish swam past, their scales catching the light from the station. In the distance, he could see the soft blue glow of the luminous as they went about their daily activities. The station was a marvel of cooperation between humans and the luminous. Its walls were made of special materials that could withstand extreme pressure while letting light pass through easily. The luminous had taught humans how to build it without disturbing the deep-sea environment. The Coral Reef Restoration Project is showing amazing results, Sangmin told Han Sol during their weekly video call. The old research team still kept in touch, proud of how their discovery had changed the world. On his screens, Sangmin could see data from similar stations around the world. There was one in the Atlantic Ocean, another in the Indian Ocean, and more being built. Each station worked with local groups of luminous to study and protect their part of the ocean. The luminous had kept their promise. After seeing humanity's commitment to ocean protection, they shared their technology. They taught humans how to use light and water in new ways. Their methods helped clean polluted waters and restore damaged ecosystems. "Remember when we first found them?" Han Sol asked during the call. "We thought we were just making a scientific discovery. We never imagined it would lead to all this." Sangmin smiled, remembering the stories young Mai had told him about those early days. Now, the luminous were trusted partners in protecting Earth's oceans. Their warning system had saved countless lives from ocean disasters. Their knowledge had helped reduce the impact of climate change on marine life. The biggest change was in how humans viewed the oceans. People no longer saw them as just a resource to use. They understood that the seas were home to amazing life, including beings with knowledge and wisdom to share. Through the station's windows, Sangmin watched as a young luminous taught a group of human scientists about deep-sea currents. The beam created beautiful patterns of light that showed how water moved through the deep ocean. The scientists recorded everything with special cameras, adding to their growing understanding of ocean systems. "We're planning to expand the station," Sang-min told Hansel, "The Luminous want to show us more about how they preserve their historical records in the mineral formations. They think it could help us develop better ways to store our own information." In other parts of the world, similar projects were underway. Coastal cities were using luminous technology to protect themselves from storms. Fish populations were recovering thanks to new sustainable fishing methods. The oceans were becoming healthier than they had been in centuries. As Sang-min ended his call with Hansel, he saw a group of luminous creating a new light pattern outside the station. It showed Earth's oceans as they had been long ago, clean and full of life. Then it changed to show the oceans as they were becoming again, thanks to the partnership between humans and the luminous. The message was clear. The greatest window into understanding alien life had been in Earth's oceans all along. By learning to work together, both civilizations had created something remarkable, a future where the seas were protected, understood, and cherished by all.